It's Sunday night. We're back. It's the red, white, and blue football discussion, or should I say, therapy session? Certainly for some parts of the country are going to need more therapy this weekend than others. But sharing the next hour with me, we've got Charlie, we've got Stephen, and just welcome in, guys. Let's just take a little moment to just sort of remember the fact that I think we trailed this weekend last week as being quite an important one. I'm dead fortunate that having watched all the games and all the results coming in, I'm still more negative about Everton tomorrow night than I was last week. So I've got no expectation from Everton Spurs tomorrow. So if you've got no expectation, then that's fine. But results from a relegation point of view kind of went our way this weekend. So I'm quite happy with that. But loads to talk about yet again, and I've got to say, shall we start with the game that was the game of the day, which I think for everybody was probably the game of the weekend. Man City, Man United, possibly the biggest one-sided derby that we'll see until Liverpool play Everton later on this season. I'm getting me revenge in first, but I've got to say, one of the things with United was they were so poor. They were diabolically poor, and I think Roy Keane in the after-match sort of talking, he described it best. He basically described United gave up, and that's not on. You can't play in a Man United shirt and give up like the way they did. They couldn't be bothered. They couldn't go. They didn't track back and tackle. They just. I felt the frustration of a United fan, and I'm not a United fan, because when you look at a team like that, you look at how they set Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out to dry earlier in the season. They brought Rangnick in. They haven't got a clue. They just. I didn't know further on now than when they got rid of Ollie, and that's rotten. There's something bigger. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not even glass half empty at the minute. I tell you, the glass is empty, and I'm looking down the fixture list thinking where the next points are coming from. So. Yeah, when you see, but you see, look at a team like United. We gave City a half decent game last weekend, and robbed by that fortuitous non-penalty giving handball. United never even got close to that today. They were so far away from City, and that was if anything else, that was the one thing I'll take from that game today is the fact how close Everton were. Admittedly playing at home, but. City didn't even get out of second gear today. They didn't have to. There was nothing. There was nothing going on for United. And if anyone's watching as a United fan, get in the chat, share your thoughts, because to be honest, I'd feel more afraid as a United fan than I am as an Everton fan. I can take relegation. I can accept that, but United are so far off that top four places. Arsenal now are in the top four. They've got games in hand. United are just miles away. They're off the pace. They don't know what the best team is. They don't know what positions to play in. I think at one point it looked as if Pogba was playing up front with Fernandes. It was just bizarre. Really was. And it's just like it appears that there's a group of players who feel as if they're running the club, not the manager, not the chairman, there's nothing. It's the players that were really sort of calling the shots, and that, to be honest, that's time to worry.
It's a sad
I agree,
isn't it? Yeah,
they're definitely lackluster today.
Yeah.
I saw them. I don't know their names by heart like I do Liverpool, but I know that that first goal, Man United number 2, on defense was he got smoked, and then he didn't even come back to help out on the defense. He was just sitting there watching, taking pictures, watching them score. It was like, that's not someone who wants to be in the top 4. That's someone that doesn't belong on the field. And as for glasses being half empty or half full, I think someone pushed United's glass off the table and it smashed on the floor.
Yeah,
they're not mentally in that race.
They're not, though, are they? And that's the saddest thing. You know, for all, I think we've all sort of accepted that. Okay, Ollie had to go and stuff like that. Actually, did he? Because I think the players would have responded better to Solskjaer on the touchline today than they did to anybody else. The number 2 that you talked about, Charlie, was Lindelof, who actually I think is a half decent defender, but it's the lump that's beside him in England centre half Harry Maguire, who looks as if he looks half the player he actually was last season. He just looks well short. And
I think Nick said the other week that, you know, Gomez at Liverpool is a championship player at best. I'd put Maguire in that bracket as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Gomez did come back from a couple of weeks ago. Gomez has gotten a little bit better. So I gave him I felt bad when I watched Gomez last time he played as opposed to the one where I was totally trashing him at because he was horrible. But he did come back. Maybe he got his timing a little bit better and got some legs back or got some speed back. Yeah, I don't think he's just as bad as I went on about that week.
The thing is, though, Gomez has been out for a long time with injury and then struggled to get back into the team because, you know, Matip's decided to stay fit for such a long time, where Maguire doesn't have such a luxury of an excuse.
Yeah.
You know, he plays every week. You know, I only seen the highlights of the United game just before we come on, and I seen the one of the goals. I think it was Mahrez. It deflected off Maguire and went in. If it hadn't deflected, I reckon De Gea's got that. Also, what I found as well, only seen it in the highlights, is now maybe usually watch the game fully. It'd probably put me right or agree with me here. But United afforded City players far too much space on the edge of their box.
Yeah,
far too much space. You know, and you got De Bruyne's goal, his first one. You know, he's on the penalty spot in acres of space.
Yeah.
You know, you don't give a player like that of that quality that kind of space. He's going to punish you, and he didn't learn because effectively he had nearly as much space for the second one.
Yeah,
you know, it's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on with United. They need to go and fix that. It's definitely not the manager. I don't know whether they had to get rid of Ollie. John, I think you're right to point that out.
I think there's a bigger issue. One of the stats that came up for the last 15 minutes, right? So I think it was just about 85 minutes in. The stats for the previous 15 minutes: possession 92% City, 8% Man United. Now, City were just they weren't even toying with them, but United just didn't even want the ball. You know, how can you have just 8% possession of the ball?
Us three could probably get more possession than them.
Yeah. It was scandalous. And actually, Gary Neville on commentary described them. He basically just said they got a proper doing, and I can't think of an easier way of describing it. It was just like you can't really look at just how poor United were with no fight. There was no backbone in them at all, and the players just didn't really seem to give a stuff. And I think that's the worst. That's the worst bit of all. If your players are not giving us stuff, then I think as a fan, you just begin to wonder why you would give your time up to watch the game and why you would actually sort of call yourself a supporter. It's just like it was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
I think did you watch McTominay's interview after the game? Did you watch?
No, missed that.
Right. So McTominay's interview after the game, he basically said it was all the players' fault. You know, and you can't disagree with it because giving the ball away too easy. And you know what? Fair play to him. I mean, he's getting absolutely slated on Twitter because he was awful. But fair play to him. He come out in that interview and he said, you know what? It was going past me and Fred far too easy.
Yeah.
He said that. I don't know to that exact words, but he said to that effect. City kept on going past them and getting in behind them. So, fair play to him. He admits he had a bad game, and he admits that, and he admits that the players, had to blame. We're going back to the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing again. Isn't it funny how the player who was seen to be instigating that the most isn't even getting in the team now?
Yeah.
Mr. Ronaldo himself, he's not even getting. What's going on with him? Because he's not even playing now. His form's dipped. He's not even getting in there. I don't even know who was on the bench. Was he even on the bench today?
No, wasn't even in the squad today.
I think he was up in the head office pitching for the coaching job to get rid of him.
Well, that's something else they've got to sort out, United, as well, isn't it? Who they're going to take on for the full-time manager? Rangnick is obviously, you can tell he's a stopgap. He's not going to be able to get, be able to put.
Yeah, he's
probably been a bit harsh on him, but the only few games he's had, he's not really, setting the world alight, is he?
He's not caught, no.
So,
and that's such a good question, because actually the more you start looking at the job that he's doing at United, you start looking at managers that they would probably just walk away, because they know that they're on a hiding to absolutely nothing there. If Rangnick stays as a director of football, then he's going to stay for the duration of that. Was it 3 years that he's signed on for? And you're going to be that sitting duck, aren't you, as a manager? That if results don't, we'll get rid of you and you're off again. I think I read something earlier in the week. They were talking about the players who want Pochettino to come in. Hang on, the players have got no right to actually demand who comes in and who. It needs to be the right manager for the club. And at this moment and in this hour, I would say that having the players dictating who the next manager is probably the worst thing that United could ever think of doing.
Because most of those players probably should be gone.
Yeah, well, him going back to Stephen talking about McTominay. I like McTominay. I think he's a half decent player, but you've got to look at some of the players around him. I hate Pogba. I think Pogba's basically taking the biscuit. How on earth, of all the things that Alex Ferguson was probably quite correct in doing, was getting Pogba out of that club in the first place. The worst thing they did was get him back in, and it looks like in the summer he's just going to walk out again because he's free to leave on a free contract, and you're just like, the lad has taken the biscuit out of United for his entire career. For the money that he's on and for the money that he's been transferred for, you'd be looking at him being, certainly on a day like today, you'd be looking at him being your leader. He's missing in action far too often.
I'll give them the due though, John. Him and Lukaku, the good adverts for agents sending the players to Italy for a bit.
Yeah, too right. Too right.
They don't do well in the Premier League. They go to Italy, absolutely storm it, and then they get a nice.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Because Lukaku's not doing it this year either. He's come back, he's struggled.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba's taken the mickey out of that club for far too long. You know what I mean? They should have cashed in when they could have done a couple of years ago. But what is it now? When's his contract up? Do you know when his contract's up?
I think it's the summer. I think it is. He won't sign a new one. So, and his agent is just basically just touts him around every club, known to mankind. It's just like give him a wage. Juventus, I think he's been sort of linked with Juventus, I read this morning, but he'd need to take a wage cut to go back to Juventus. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. It's just there's him. Where do you stop with United? Because I don't like Fred either. I think Fred's another waste of space, expensive waste of space for not doing an awful lot. And you think of him and McTominay are sitting in front of the back four. So you're basically playing with six at the back with a back four, Fred and McTominay, and then you wonder how our team can score four past them. It's just bizarre.
It'll be interesting to see how much that team cost United to put together. Because they're now arguably one of the worst United teams you've ever seen. Because I watched them sometimes, and I remember as a kid growing up. And I remember the United team that had someone like Norman Whiteside in it and stuff like that. Yeah. I think you're on the same par here, Now, I don't know. I was only a kid back in the 80s when that team was playing with the Norman Whiteside on.
They were a half-decent team.
I was a Liverpool fan growing up in the 80s, so to me, they were crap. But they could have been good.
But they were half decent. And actually, would put a shift in and they would fight for each other. They were at times quite a dirty side because for what they lacked in talent, they didn't lack for in team spirit. And I find it quite bizarre that United since Ferguson's gone, the amount of decisions that have been made at the level of the boardroom have been so poor. They've been so backward looking, and they've not even the signing of Ronaldo last summer. Let's face facts. I think I said it very early on in the season. It's like him and Fernandes. It was shown in the Euros. They don't play beside each other very well. They're operating in the same space. They're vying for the same ball. So why bring him in? Are you that vain as a football club that you decide that we'll just go out and we'll sell a load of shirts and we'll maybe make some money? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but if I was a United fan, I'd be more annoyed at all of that. That they've gone backwards year after year after year, and I think I have said it before. I think they probably regret the biggest mistake they made was getting rid of Moyes.
Yeah, I think they should have given more of a chance.
Yeah.
Because he came in. With, let's face it, not a great United team. I know they just won the title. I know that, right? Yeah. But Alex Ferguson, look, I'm a Red, right? But I appreciate good managers, and I know what he was. He was a great manager, one of the greatest of all time, Ferguson.
Yeah.
He would have picked 12 lads up, 15 lads up, and put his subs on the bench from the street of Manchester and still won that title. He was that good of a manager. I just rate him that highly. So the team he actually last won the title with was never a championship winning side for me, right? So for David Moyes to come in and try and just take that on and carry on winning titles was a fallacy. Yeah. It was a bit like Graham Souness when he come in at 92 for Liverpool. Being able to carry on the tradition of winning titles. Never, because the team was destroyed. The team was already never good enough. But I've just had a look there. How much do you think United has spent in the 9 years since Ferguson's left? Go on, have a guess.
Oh, wow.
$2 billion.
Ooh, not that much, Charlie.
Really?
I'll go for $1 billion.
$1 billion, yeah. Spot on. $1 billion.
Yeah,
this guy £1 billion.
Really?
Since
£1 billion.
So it's not. What United needs to go and fix is how they spend the money and who they're putting in charge of spending that money, because it's clearly not worked, because they've spent £1 billion. They've not come close to the title since. Yeah, and in fact, they struggle to get into the Champions League now. And I don't think they'll get in the top 4 this season. £1 billion spent.
I hope Liverpool is paying attention, because and if Klopp gets an extension or whatever, which I imagine he will, in 3 or 4 years, I hope they have the next manager in mind and they bring him in before Klopp leaves, or else Liverpool could be in the same shoes. Just going manager after manager after manager trying to replace what Klopp did.
Yeah, no, he's already did it. The next manager's already at Liverpool. From what I'm hearing and listening to,
Linders?
It will more than likely be Pep Linders.
Yeah,
now,
Linders.
I don't know how true they are, but apparently
Linders or Gerrard, but
like the boot room kind of mentality. You've got a great manager with a backroom team, and you just transfer it to one of them and keep going. Now I don't know if that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? We'll go to another name in a minute. He had a good result yesterday. Cracking result, Villa. He's a candidate as well, but apparently I don't know, maybe Liverpool. But I think Liverpool have learned, because Liverpool were also in the 90s, as you remember, was spending money hand over fist as well, a lot of money to try and get that title back, and we never ever done it. We kept throwing money at the problem rather than sitting down and thinking, well, what is the problem, and fixing the problem. I don't think we ever really done that until FSG come in. I don't think we actually sat there and went, you know what, as a football club, where are we going wrong? And I think when FSG come in, they did that.
But you also look, and we've been guilty of this in many shows this year, because actually we ignore an awful lot of what City can do to teams, because it's just the City way, isn't it? But like you look at somebody, a player like Kevin De Bruyne today. Where did he come from? Chelsea. So Chelsea let him go. Where did Salah come from for Liverpool? Chelsea. And it's just like you look at these players who have been allowed to go from a team that have previously had a lot of money, and they've missed. Chelsea basically could have put together like a championship winning team based on players that they've let go.
Did Mourinho let them go?
It wouldn't surprise me, Charlie. It really wouldn't. It's just that lad doesn't seem to spot a player, does he? That'd
be fine. Just curious.
Yeah, I don't know for certain, so I wouldn't say, but it would not surprise me for a minute that he just decided. Now, probably Salah was too short, and he probably thought, De Bruyne's not the type. He's not my type of midfield player. Not my type of guy. Let him go.
It's funny, isn't it? Managers have this expectation of players. I always remember Jordan Henderson, our captain. He's had a great career. No one ever gives him the credit that he deserves. But Alex Ferguson writ him off as a young kid. Said his gait was wrong. He was all wrong. It was like,
I think as well, Steve. I think as well. He was. I know he went to. He was at Sunderland and things like that. He wasn't tremendously loved at Sunderland. He was always, if anything went wrong, if there was ever a mistake to be had, it always came back to Henderson. It always was his fault. It was always him that was to blame. And he actually look at how he's been nurtured into that role at Liverpool and changed, not just changed as a football player, but changed probably, I think, more as a human being, because he's learned to understand what his role at the club is more like. And that's possibly the thing that FSG have got more correct at Liverpool, is they're harking back to those days, the days of Paisley, the days of Shankly, as the fact that it's not what you're paid, it's what you do on the pitch and the person you are off the pitch. And again, going back to, I was talking to one of my kids during the week, and it's just like, you look at what they did last Sunday. When there's Chelsea in the penalty shootout, they subbed the goalie in the final minutes, so they think they're going to get a big crescendo and they're going to win the cup. Then Kepa goes and misses it. But there's that young lad at Liverpool who's now found a place on the champions wall, goalkeeper's champions wall at the training ground, and that's with Alisson's blessing. And just think, he's there. It doesn't matter what he does for the rest of his life. He's there. He's alongside all these great goalkeepers that Liverpool have had. And I just thought, that's something that it just shows it shows a bit of class, doesn't it? It doesn't take much, but it's that classy way of dealing with youngsters and bringing them through and actually making them feel appreciated and making them feel part of your club.
Definitely. That's enough for United anyway. Me and Charlie are going to go stick at the gills in a minute.
There you go. So yeah, well, there you go. Let's switch it around then. Let's look at your team.
I think it's all part of John's different ways of torturing us, Stephen.
I know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I know. It's because Everton aren't playing till tomorrow, so we can get away with it this week.
Yeah. Let's talk about Liverpool, because I actually thought West Ham ran you close yesterday, and I thought the offside decision that wasn't given for the Liverpool goal, which was one of those minutiae sort of where do you draw the line and where do you actually say he's onside or offside, I thought was quite laughable. It was one of them ones that you could argue about it all day and you never get the right decision. So he was given onside. It was a goal. West Ham had the chances. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, they did.
But Liverpool won the game, and that's all that matters at the end of the 3 points. End of the game, you move on. It might not be the greatest game. I know you guys are playing. Was it Inter Milan in midweek as well?
Yeah.
So, the one thing that did impress me yesterday was Alexander-Arnold. Because when you start watching what that lad actually brings to the game is something else. He's reading in a game. He really dug you out of a hole with an amazing clearance off the line. Yeah. But he's got so much in his locker. He really just has so many different attributes. Which I think he's really. Is he a midfielder? Is he a defender? I'm not quite so sure. Is that the reason why England don't fancy playing him? Because they're actually. I think he's just got loads to give. I find it quite insulting that, Kyle Walker gets in the England team before him.
Yeah, so I'm probably a bit biased, but I think he's the best right back in the world. But that's probably me being a little bit slightly unbiased.
I think he's
Reece James at Chelsea. He's a good right back as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's really good, and he's good at doing what Arnold does. But yeah, I thought just put on your first point there, Liverpool not playing well, but they got the points. Trent said it at the end. You can't win every game 4-5-0. It's the 3 points that matters, and it is great that people again. I thought. For the first time this season, I thought we've got a team who's actually going to beat our offside trap. Our offside trap is just scarily effective. How high it is up the pitch and the amount of times we catch people out. But that goal that goal line cleared you so much, John. That was one of the times West Ham actually just stormed through on the offside trap. And beat it.
And Arnold thought he was offsides. Arnold did think. I'm surprised that Arnold played that through because he was really mad at the linesman. After that was offside, but then when they showed the replay, it wasn't offside.
It was actually Trent playing him on.
Yeah. So
with his hand in the air.
I know.
Yeah, I thought Liverpool were not at the races yesterday at all. I don't think, but that's what you need. You need that. It's that mentality of managing games and getting through it. But West Ham could quite have easily got a couple of goals there yesterday.
Yes, they definitely could, and I think Konate saved Trent's bacon a couple times too.
Yeah, he did. And
he has some speed on him to keep up with Antonio, man. He's got some speed, Konate. I was glad it was him instead of Matip yesterday.
I think Jamie Carragher was on the commentary. And he was glad it wasn't him that was trying to catch up with him. I think it was towards the end of the game when he was trying to track him down into that far corner. Yeah. And even Carragher was blowing a bit, even on commentary. He was just like, "Oh no!" Just like I think he nearly have pulled his hamstring from his commentary position just with the thought of having to make the run. Yeah.
Carragher would have just clipped his heels or something like that as he done past.
But he did really well to get back and actually challenge for that ball. I think if I remember right, he went for a West Ham throw in the end. But to actually track him back and actually to avoid that turning into another West Ham opportunity was really good defending. Yeah. I thought it was really impressive.
Yeah.
He's quick, isn't he? Konate. He's a big boy.
Deceptively though, deceptively because he's a big lad, isn't he?
He's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Imagine if you stood next to him, you'd have a crooked neck trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
Well, now Klopp is putting him in to handle the Lukaku's and the Antonios because he's probably Klopp's biggest guy. I think Konate's bigger than Van Dijk. I mean, muscular wise, and he's got speed too. So he's really good. I'm impressed with him.
He's really starting to turn into a decent defender. He's starting to get to grips with the game. But I'm with Carragher. I'm thinking glad he was on rather than Matip, because I don't think Matip was catching him. No. There's no way. I was actually watching Konate corner. Bloody hell, look at the speed of him. He's moving.
Yeah.
I don't even think a car would have overtook him. He was going that
It was fast going, wasn't it?
But to get back to Trent for a second, though, I think he's definitely the best offensive right back there is. But there's sometimes he's getting smoked on defense. He's way out of position, and he's not. So maybe maybe his future does lie in the midfield, because there's sometimes that he's part of the danger that he's causing. He's giving the other teams more opportunities against us by being offensively minded more than defensively minded.
Here's a thought for you, because I know Henderson's probably got maybe another season. You got Milner as well. You know, those types of players that have served Liverpool really well. But do you not think so? Alexander Arnold, do you not think he'd be the type of player that could actually play centre mid, and then when you need to, he can drop in and cover either at centre half or at right back or on the right side of midfield? He could end up being one of those real sort of transition players that he's not a fullback as such. He's just going to be like Milner. He's going to be a holding midfielder who's going to be able to help start off attacks. And actually, I think that could end up being a role for him moving forward. I really do.
Could, but the thing is, you've got then is, you know, the way Liverpool play, you know, how often do we need them to be defensively solid? It's not that often. You know, it's more, it's less often than it is needed. You know, more often we need them going forward and doing what he does. You know, when he goes forward and whips them balls, and you know, I don't think there's anyone better in the league. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think it would be a waste with him.
Yeah,
a waste of him in midfield because his strength is the crosses into the box. I mean, Robertson needs to start doing that again. Robertson just is in the old Henderson frame of mind where now he just plays the ball backwards all the time. It's just Robertson's not crossing into the box half as much as he used to.
Yeah.
No. And the thing is as well is on the left hand side we've got two really good left backs. I'm not too bothered if I see Tsimikas come in. You know, he's proved himself to be a more than apt you know, deputant to Robertson. But we haven't got anyone on that right side. I mean, if we went out and bought Reece James, then I go, throw Arnold in the middle and give him a go there. But you know, we need someone of that caliber to come into the team as well to be able to swap Arnold around. And it's not just that; it's when Trent has his off days as well. When Trent has his off days, he does have an off day. You know, nothing goes right for him. He'll either pass, and he's passing across the back. He'll either give it to the opposition player, or when he's up the top, his crosses won't get past the first player. So he can have them games, but it's scary. I bet you he's only in his early 20s still, Trent. You know, he's that young. You know, but it feels like he's been around forever.
Certainly does, doesn't it?
Players, but yeah. You know, he struggled. We got the 3 points, John. That's all that matters. And
exactly.
Going the way it's going. If it keeps on going the way it's going for the next 4 weeks, we've got one hell of a game on the 10th of April. One hell of a game.
And I think that's going to be. And again, I think it's dead easy to kind of overact that and just say it's going to be a title decider. But there's so many teams playing. You know, just changing the way that they're playing. You know. I know we mentioned last week about, and I've got even been named this week with how's that? You know, Newcastle look at the moment as if they could beat anyone in that top half of the league, and going from a team that was struggling, they look as if they're going to have a big say in exactly, you know, who they're going. You know, they've got Chelsea to play, they've got Everton to play. You know, they've actually got a role to be had in actually maybe upsetting a few people along the way. I think you guys played on 30th of April, and then they play City. They play City away the following weekend, and then they play Arsenal. And it's just like towards the end of the season, Newcastle could end up being that team that, you know, when everyone thought they were going to be relegated, they could end up be pushing. They could end up be pushing for certainly top 10, very, very easily. And they just at the minute they look absolutely amazing. You know, I think that you've got to look at what Eddie Howe's done there in such a short period of time. Yeah, and he's, you know, I know they spent a bit of money, but actually he's made players that are there better, and he's organised them. They're no longer conceding stupid goals. They're actually making, you know, they're difficult to break down. They're actually scoring goals. They're actually in a position where, you know, there was Brighton turning up there. You're thinking, well, Brighton are going to be the ones that know how to pick them apart. They absolutely took them apart. And I've got to say, it must be a great time to be a Newcastle fan after all those years of misery when Mike Ashley was there. You know, in the space of what are we, 4 or 5 months, on how you get rid of one owner of your club. And then you get all of this turning up, and they've not even started spending money. All they've done is just organised better. Got a manager in to keep them up, and he's doing such a good job. He really is.
Is he out?
You know,
Eddie Howe's doing really well. I liked him at Bournemouth. I thought he was a success there. Do you know what I mean? It's like and then he's at a club now where he's been given the chance to bring them through. I hope they keep him there until he actually messes it up himself, rather than them going for the big name manager straight away. Which I'm sure they will. But they've done brilliant, Newcastle. They got that feel good factor about the place, haven't they? You know, you watched that game and there was like a big buzz around the stadium, wasn't there? You know, the atmosphere was electric again. You know, which is great. You know, to see that, you know, Newcastle, you know, some of the most passionate fans out there.
Yeah, you know, and they've been done over. They've been done over for so many years, haven't they? So
massively.
You know, I think that's a nice one.
Mike Ashley will be probably one of the worst owners in the history of the game. You know, I think he's a country mile behind. What have you got there?
I'm only one off right now. They're in 14th.
I mean, there's only Tom Hicks. What is it? Tom Hicks and George Gillette who are probably worse than Mike Castley.
Maybe the Glazers. I think United fans would say the Glazers are probably in the same league, aren't they?
It's trending again on Twitter.
Is it?
It's funny. It's going to be the Glazers out. But I think Newcastle are really surging up that table now.
Yeah.
Now, they've gone. What is it? Well, I've got it right down here somewhere. They've won 3 games in a row at home for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, they've gone 8 games unbeaten. You know, they've won 5 of the last 6. You know, and then you look at Brighton, who started the season off so well.
Yeah.
You know, they really started the season off so well, and they're only sitting a place above Newcastle now by 5 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they've
Two teams going in opposite directions. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because they've lost the last 4. Brighton, they lost the last 4 games on the bounce. You know, they're falling down that league table. They're in 13th. They're only 5 points above Newcastle now. I think they've got a game less than Newcastle. If I remember right.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. But you know, looking at that, I watched some of that game. You know, and I thought, talk about poor defending on the United team. You know, it was a former United player that was probably, you know, pretty poor for the Newcastle second goal, which is the corner that come in. I thought he just stood there and waited for the ball to come to him rather than, you know, go run and attack it himself. So the ball's coming over. The Newcastle players got ahead of him and then headed in.
Yeah.
He should have been really heading forward. I know he's a striker and he's not. It's probably a striker's defensive movements, but you know he should be doing.
Was it Welbeck? Wasn't it? It was Welbeck. Danny Welbeck.
He should have been attacking that ball. You know.
Yeah.
But it's weird in how the season goes. Brighton was starting off so well. We're getting to this time of the season where last year, lads, remember, we were just going, Brighton lost again. Brighton lost again. They're getting relegated and they scraped it. And I think all 3 of us have predicted Brighton to get relegated because of it. So we had that time of the season where Brighton just started to do that again. I don't know. But you know what? Fair play to Newcastle. They're doing well. They did something I didn't. They do. I'll hold me hand up.
It was good, and I think as well, guys. I think we also trailed it last week. The biggest game of the weekend was possibly going to be Norwich Brentford, and so much so that Brentford didn't read the script on that, and I don't think Norwich did either, because actually it was a game that neither of them could afford to lose, and I don't think anybody told Norwich that, because they basically never turned up. And Brentford are giving the G. You know, you go away from home to win 3-1 away from home. Ivan Toney, who a former Newcastle player, scored 2 penalties, which my lovely fantasy league ploy of putting Tim Krul in goal backfired massively, because he never touched either of the penalties. And I was hoping, because he's on a double game week, I might have got a few saves out of him. No chance. The absolute usual performance of someone you bring into your fantasy team does you over. And I've got to say, I tell you, Norwich looked sort of dead and buried. And I really thought they would have performed much, much better yesterday. just with a thought of trying to stay in the league. I give Brentford the due. Christian Eriksen started the game. He looked absolutely spot on. A lovely little moment with the lad Williams, who used to play for Liverpool, who's currently at Norwich. He basically, he'd been pulled down by Eriksen. And he went to turn around and have a go at him. And then he realised it was it, and they were both lying on the ground. And he just gave him a big hug. It was just like, oh, it's you,
Great.
I'm so glad you're still alive. And he just hugged him, and I just thought, hang on a minute, you're about to get relegated. You just want to turn around and kick him, do something, but don't hug him. And I just thought that, to me, if nothing else, Norwich is just too nice, and they just really. They fell so short yesterday, and I really, for as much as you want a team to stay up, they're not going to stay. They're just way short of it. But then they'll get relegated. Pukki will start. He'd be like the lad at the Fulham, won't it? You know, you go back to the Championship. Pukki will get his scoring boots on. He'll score another 30 goals next season. And then suddenly they get promoted again, and then Pukki can't score when he comes back in the Premier League. It's one of them bizarre things, you know. And there's players. It's happened for years. Even when Newcastle played in the old Division 2, and Mickey Quinn was there way back in the day. But Mickey Quinn would just bang about week after week. They get promoted, and then suddenly they get into the old First Division. And then Mickey Quinn just comes up against defenders who are better, and then the goals dry up, and then you get a bit frustrated, and then you get dropped and stuff. It happens, and I actually felt yesterday the lad for Brentford, who Ivan Toney, he started the season off, and you're thinking, here's a lad who's just like, he's going to set the Premier League on fire this season, and he's done absolutely nothing. And then yesterday he gets hat-trick, and you're suddenly just thinking, hang on a second. If he gets his shooting boots on, Brentford are suddenly not in the dire sort of situation that they previously looked as if they might be in. Because they played loads of games. They've not got a lot of points. Newcastle are now above them, having played 2 games less. I'm looking at my own team, who've played 4 games less than them. And 5 points away from them, and I'm thinking, well, hang on a second, this could be, I'm looking for hope. I'm looking for hope, and I keep, when you start looking at these teams, but if Brentford can string a set of results together, and Christian Eriksen looks as if he'd be the player who would actually lead that sort of assault forward for them, then you don't know what's going to happen. Equally,
the 5 teams below Brentford, though, I don't see them doing very well.
Yeah. Thing is, Everton
one of right.
That's the stuff I wake up in the middle of the night thinking. Championship. It doesn't kind of ring off my tongue as much as Premier League, Championship Everton.
I hope you don't get relegated, John, because next season we'll have to cover the Championship games as well.
I know, yeah.
There's twice as many of them.
Yeah, this is like, you have to play about 46 games in a season. Everton players to be knackered. They struggle playing twice a week as it is. So, that comes as a shock to their system. I'll tell you one thing as well. I don't know if you saw the early game yesterday, Charlie. That's like the breakfast game in the States, where Leicester Leeds. Now Leeds with their new manager, who sounds just like Ted Lasso.
Oh,
and some of the things he's come out with in the press this week is just like Ted Lasso-esque. It really is. It's just like.
John, have you heard his pre-match interview before the match when he got interviewed? Did you not hear it? Yeah. Someone said to him, I think he turned around and he said, "Yeah, there's a bit of a stigma for American coaches in
yeah."
He went, "Yeah." I said, "I don't think Ted Lasso's helped." Who was the guy who last time? I think it was Bob. He was at Swansea. What was his name? Oh, yeah. Come on, you know I'm on about Bob.
And his son played for
Bradley, right?
Oh, Bradley.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah. But I was also watching through some old Soccer AM clips the other day, John. Right?
Yeah.
Charlie. Look, Soccer AM, Charlie, is a bit of it's a Saturday morning football show. It's a bit of it mixes comedy.
It used to be good. It used to be good. It used to be unmissable.
Oh yes, and I'm going back to the time when it was unmissable. And there's a team over here, Charlie, called Boston United, right? But the most famous Boston is the Boston Bayou, right? You know, where the Boston Red Sox is. And they used to have a clip. You have to go on YouTube and just type in, you know, Boston goals, Soccer AM, right? You have a section called Boston goals. And I thought, as I'm listening to the new guy Marsh, I'm thinking, is this when Soccer AM bring back Boston goals? It's brilliant. It's a Mickey take of like your American sports presenters, and it's like proper stereotypical, you know. So one of them's called Randy the Third or something like that. They don't call it a goal; they call it a touchdown. You know, yeah, I did a touchdown, right? And it's you just go and watch it, Charlie, because you'll just think this is just ridiculous because it's just stupid. It is, and that's all it is. It's a proper little.
Oh, it was so funny! It was so funny.
It was what they used to call it. What was it? They used to call Boston United the only American team in the English league. The Boston White Sox. And I'm thinking, are we going back there? Are we coming back to that realm?
Oh, he is just the epitome of Ted Lasso. And I had an interview with him. I think it was Friday night, and one of the conversations, and he was trying to describe, talking about the boys. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, everyone else has moved on. It's not just about the boys. And I'm thinking, this could be quite entertaining. Could be, but do you know something? Leeds actually looked as if they were well organised. He's only been there a week, and he was apologising to Bamford for not getting him onto the pitch. So Bamford seems as if he's more fit this weekend than he was under Bielsa. Calvin Phillips is on the road back. All these injured players that they've had suddenly appeared on the training pitch during the week. And I'm like, oh, hang on. This is quite interesting. He's obviously decided, look, you're no use to me there. Let's get you out and about, be it injected up or whatever. I don't know what he's done, but he's got them playing and he's got them defended. They defended so brilliantly against Leicester. And actually they were probably worth a point. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, that could really turn, you know. And I know it's that bounce. It's that bounce when you get a new manager, and it's all like everything changes and everyone gets a kick up the backside. But for Leeds, it was just, you know, next week, if my memory serves me right, I think they've got Norwich at home next Saturday, and actually Elland Road would be bouncing. I think the fans would be worth at least a couple of goals start for them. And you can laugh at me next Sunday if that all goes belly up anyway.
Well, I have a question for you guys, okay? Because after the Leeds game, you know, he pulled his whole team onto the middle of the field and had a little circle, you know, and had a little pep talk or whatever. And I was that's so
he was giving
American.
him 6 months of Apple TV to see what Ted Lasso was.
Yeah, but do
you
guys?
Sorry, Charlie. Norwich at home. They've got next week. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, go on. So get that huddle going, yeah.
With the huddle, I was thinking that's so American. I was like, do the English people actually go for that stuff? Or are they just laughing at them, saying this is ridiculous? It's just like,
no. I don't think it's something that's like it's been done. I remember when Houllier came to Liverpool started doing it a bit. It's
Celtic did it. Celtic did it years ago, and it became known as the Celtic huddle. And actually, the thing is, Charlie, I think what fans over here love about seeing that is that togetherness.
Yeah,
and I think there would. I think any United fan, if you watch some of the United players coming off the pitch today, they were so alone in the thoughts. They were so alone as individuals, and you would have loved, even if you'd have got beat at City. Even getting beat at Leicester, to come together at the end of the game and realise that you're all as one and you are all a team. And I think for Leeds fans, you probably looked at that, you got a little bit of goosebumps up up your back and thinking, hang on a minute, this lad's going to move the Bielsa stuff forward and actually still retain some of the things that Bielsa was really good at. And it kind of took me by surprise because I know, I can ridicule him and stuff like that, but actually what he's managed to do in a week, I thought was quite ridiculous. He's made them look a really strong team again. And I think the upcoming weeks, I think that there's a whole line of red L's against the Leeds form table. They've lost the last 5 games, and I can't see that continuing. I can see them actually getting something and actually turning their form around because they've got some great players there. Real good players.
If they could shore up their defense, 61 goals is insane. If they could just get that under control, then they're not looking bad because their goal scoring is not that far behind many of the other teams.
Yeah. I think as well, and I think that's maybe another thing that you're hitting a nail on the head there. You look towards the end of the season, that currently their goal difference is -32.
Yeah.
Now, there's only Norwich are -42. Everyone else is like 23. Everton's is only 13, I hasten to add. But everyone else is going to. That could be worth an extra point at the end of the season, couldn't it? And get relegated on goal difference. It's been done before.
Here's some water in that glass, John.
I don't know why.
Positives everywhere. Going back to what you just said there, Charlie, about the huddle. Phil Brown, Hull City, used to do it a lot. In fact, I remember one game, if the players were that bad, he had them sitting around in a circle in the middle of the pitch and give them a good roasting in front of the fans.
Yeah, I just haven't seen it myself very often. I remember Gerard really was doing it in the 13-14 season. Gerard was doing it at the end when they were pushing for the title there. But I haven't seen it much done, so I just wanted you guys' input on that.
We're not advertising Soccer AM to you on YouTube very much, so Charlie. But Stephen talking about Phil Brown doing that. I think it was when he was Hull manager, and then Jimmy Bullard scored in the second half of that game. And his goal celebration, he got the players to sit round in a circle, and he was just wagging his finger at them, just as Phil Brown had done during the halftime team talk. And it was just like, I don't know whether it enamoured Jimmy Bullard to it, but it was dead funny. As a fan from another team, it was hilariously funny. It really was, because it was that little wagging finger was just like. Because I think as professionals, Phil Brown had actually taken it, and by not allowing them back in the changing room at half time, I think Bullard had decided, that's you're washing your dirty linen in public here. If you've got something to say to us, you've got an argument to have. We should be behind closed doors, and to take the mickey out of him that way Jimmy Bullard and one of the new presenters on the Soccer AM.
I forgot about that celebration. I actually remember it. What a character he was, though, Jimmy Bullard. He was just one of them players. He was great on the ball. Got a lot of injuries, didn't he? But he was a character as well, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, and I never got never. He was one of them players. He played for Wigan, played for Hull. Never really played for big teams or nothing like that. But he was dead funny. You'd love to have him on your team. Yeah. There was a wonderful picture. I think he was at Wigan at the time, and I think Duncan Ferguson was losing the plot with somebody, and it's as if he just knew where the camera was, and he just turns to the camera and he goes, and it's just he was there on Match of the Day. He's just like, look at him. He's losing the plot altogether. Yeah. And it's one of them ones. If anyone's looking for Duncan Ferguson's best moments in football, I'm sure that look from Jimmy Bullard's there somewhere. So what else picked up? Go on, we've mentioned him earlier on. Let's give Stevie G a good shout out, because I did not expect that. That was the coup and buster, I think, result of the whole weekend, when Villa decide that they're going to turn on the gas against Southampton. And you know something? Your man Coutinho looked half decent as well.
He was brilliant.
It's just like, goodness me. There's Stevie G. He's been struggling. I think they've blown a bit out and cold of Villa. But again, something that sort of struck me. as a little bit of man management, and possibly something that I think Gerrard is very, very good at, because the lad Watkins that plays for Villa he's not been sort of on fire. He's had a ropey season, in and out of the team, stuff like that. He scored last week against Brighton away from home, and it sounded as if during the week there was something I heard on the radio, and it was as if Gerrard had just taken him under his wing and just sort of said, "Look, son, just calm down, just calm yourself in front of the goal. The goals will come." And it just takes something like that coming from your manager, rather than feeling as if you're totally sort of on show. And I think Watkins, in a way, has felt quite under pressure to perform, and I think he's felt that he's been in a position where he is wasteful. He will miss more chances than he'll score, but he's, again, still a young lad. And so they turn up yesterday. They're playing Southampton. I still don't, for the life of me, I still don't see how Southampton can concede 4 goals the way they've been playing. They really don't. And then Watkins scores the first goal after 9 minutes, and Villa didn't look back. I thought Coutinho was just outstanding.
Coutinho was in a different class to Southampton. Yeah. And what's that game? And what I got from it was, yeah, you're right. You know, Gerrard's been blowing hot and cold. You know, but he's not gone into a club that, you know, was firing on all cylinders. Don't forget they got rid of the manager. They were, you know, steering the realms of relegation, you know, steering that down as well. But they've got 2 wins on the bounce now after 2 successive defeats. And I'll tell you why they scored so many past Southampton was because of the pass and movement was second to none. The pass and move of their players was unbelievable. They pass and they run. They pass and they run. So you can clearly see what Gerrard's trying to do. He's trying to get them to play the game of football properly, offensively, with crisp passing, movement off the ball, you know, not just about when you've got the ball. So, you know, when it's what you do off the ball is probably more important than what you do when you're on the ball. And I seen that with Coutinho. I thought he was just unbelievable. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. He got his goal as well. You know, they were just really, really good. I was really impressed with Villa. I don't know what you can tell, but I was really, really impressed with them.
I was shocked though, Stephen. I've got to say, because you've got to remember the past few weeks we've really bigged Southampton up because they beat Spurs away from home. They got a draw at Man United, 1-1 draw at Man United, and you're suddenly thinking, hang on, Southampton are actually looking half decent here. You know, they drew with City, and it's just like absolutely amazing. Yeah, there you go. That's it. I'm not talking fantasy league. I tell you, I've had a nightmare this week. I'll continue the Southampton thing. I loaded my team with Southampton players, and they didn't turn up against Villa, basically. So I've ended up with
Newcastle in the next one. Too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm stuffed. I'm just like, what a nightmare. And Charlie, you've had a really good week this week, actually, haven't you?
Yeah, I had the sense of not making Salah captain because I had a feeling, but the other guy I made captain didn't do well either. But at least Coutinho did well.
Yeah, you had an exceptional week, I've got to say. And Stephen, you've racked up the points as well.
Yes,
in the fantasy league.
I've got a few players to play in midweek.
I know.
I'm on 71 points at the minute.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm on 35. I've been stuffed good and proper. Good and proper.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players to get me more points. I'm on 71. Yeah. I'm hoping to get over the 100 again. I'm playing Addison this week, and you know what? I feel for Addison in this because he's been rooted to the bottom of the table all season. You know, when he does a peak, the person he's playing has a better one.
That's what I was going to say. He's actually played the game really well. It's just been unfortunate who he's been up against.
Yeah, he's got 50. I'm on 71, 58. Sorry, Addison. It's looking like I'm going to beat you. And you know, I've not had a great thing myself because if you look at the standings, I'm 4th. I'm above that guy. I'm 2 points above that guy average. You know, but Sarah's given him 3 points.
Yeah.
We're going to stay 2 points. Addison, you're going to have to stay at 29 points. But I was kind of hoping Charlie get beat, and I might just overtake Charlie and said,
Oh, dear.
Maybe
I'll tell you
next-
what,
I've
Jimmy.
got a chance to go top, clear at the top.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
John gets beat and Sarah gets beat, it stays as it is.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's-
Charlie get 3 points closer.
Just before we finish, guys, just a big shout out. Crystal Palace won away at Wolves. That was another coupon buster as well this weekend. I wasn't expecting Wolves to get beat. And then Chelsea, I think everybody I was following on the socials and certainly on a lot of the betting stuff. Everyone had Burnley Chelsea to be a really close game. You know, I think everyone would think it would be like 1-0. 1-0 to Burnley, I think was the prediction league sort of forecast, and then Chelsea turned up and they just turned Burnley over 4-0. Your man Pulisic again, Charlie. He's got himself back in favour at Chelsea. Goal and an assist yesterday. I like him. I think he's a great player. I really do.
He reminds me of Diego Jota.
Yeah,
He's got that fire in him. He's got those. He's got the goals in him when they let him play.
Yeah, he can do it unless he's in front of the goal at Wembley. Thank God for that. Sarah's saying a week's not over. She'll be top by Sunday, John. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's like,
No, there you go. You're gonna have it this week, Sarah. I tell you, I've had a nightmare. Unlike, and the only game we haven't mentioned so far, lads, and that is Arsenal's win at Watford today, and probably, yeah, 3-2. Yeah, to be honest, we've not spoken enough about Arsenal this season. I know they've just gone completely under the radar.
Because they started so bad. They started.
They did, yeah. They did.
But now they deserve to be top 4 like now.
But they still lose a game, and you still see Arteta out trending on Twitter, right? They're currently this is the laughable bit about this, right? They're currently a point above Man United, having played 3 games less. The 5 points behind Chelsea with a game in hand. So actually, I think, do you know something? Arsenal, and they do blow hot and cold. I totally admit that. I think that's the frustrating bit about Arsenal. You start thinking that they're going to put a string of results together, and then they don't decide that they're not going to turn up. Which I think for you guys, you hope that.
I hope the cold when we go there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're away March the 16th. You're away at Arsenal, but they've just got. I don't know. They just sort of seem to be on fire. And I've got to say, Everton played them last game of the season. I don't want to go to Arsenal last game of the season relying on a result there, because even when it was Highbury, the last game at Highbury, my brother went to, and we got done 7-0, and it was just we don't do much at Arsenal. They look absolutely brilliant at the minute. So hopefully, if I say that this week, we'll put a bit of a jinx on Arsenal moving forward for you. You know, you never know your luck, but they do. They look great.
Was it your brother you said that went to Arsenal and you got beat?
Yeah.
Charlie, what we'll do is we'll set a GoFundMe page up and we'll get John's brother a ticket to the Arsenal game.
I think he's still scarred for life. It was one of those things. I'm going to go to the last game the last away day at Arsenal, because it was the old Highbury and stuff. Yeah. But one of them ones.
The only one that bugs me at Arsenal is Lacazette. He just, whenever he doesn't get the ball or whatever, he does one of those whiny things, kind of like that Brazilian guy at Everton does. You know, he gets
Richarlison. Oh yeah.
Little fits, and that's like, grow up and stay in the game. You know, stop with that. Doesn't do any good. You know, just
spoiled child, innit?
Yeah, I think I'm with you, John. I don't think we've spoken enough about Arsenal this season, but I think that's going to change in the coming weeks, because and to be honest with you, I said a couple of weeks ago, even Chelsea's got to fight for the places in the top 4 now. You know, I don't think they're fighting to get back into the title race. They're fighting to stay in the top 4. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me wrong. I think they will, but they're that close now to Arsenal. Arsenal could go into third. And do
Yeah.
you know what? Arsenal even get into fourth. They've had a great season. So if you get third, you've had an even better season. So good luck to them.
Yeah, I had them mid-table at the beginning of this season,
Yeah.
and they definitely outdone the expectation of mine. Anyways, we all had them pretty much in the mid-table.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't
on
need
mute.
I know, right? Sorry, I've just had my son's just come in to tell us that I've got an update on the golf. That was all.
The golf. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. It's the Arnold Palmer Invitational tonight. So,
Right,
it's
on
okay.
that note,
It's okay. On that note, I'm off to watch the golf.
right. See you next week. Thanks for getting involved.
Thanks for watching.
See you next week.